Dominic Oliveira is a professional truck driver, motorcycle enthusiast, an uncle, a son, just an everyday guy trying to make it in life. I started out over $750. $750 paycheck they took just because they wanted to. And it went somewhere I never expected. I was working for my father and working for the moving companies on the side, and they asked me to get my Class A permit. I went online, did my research. I found a variety of companies that were offering CDL school for working for them. It was advertised as paid training, and when we got there, it was, we'll give you $200 a week, and we're gonna take it back at $25 a week.
The companies not only don't pay them what they said they were going to pay them, they start taking out the company's own business expenses from the worker's paycheck. So they'll deduct from your paycheck the truck that you're driving for the company. They'll call it a lease and deduct it from your paycheck.
Didn't throw the red flags until I was considered an independent, misclassified independent.
Companies across industries have started to call their workers independent contractors to get out of all of the regulation that ensures that workers are paid and treated fairly.
That's when I told them I quit. That Friday, I was heading to Florida, and I opened up my statement. It said there's no money, negative balance. They kept my paycheck.
In these trucking companies, workers do try to leave, and the company says, if you leave, we're gonna charge you for the cost of all that training we gave you. Or remember that truck that you leased? We're gonna charge you everything that you would owe on that truck. And so they're stuck.
I didn't know what to do at first. I called an employment lawyer, and he was kind of skittish, didn't want to really touch it. But he said, I'm gonna send you over to this guy, Andy Schmidt. Me and Andy got to talking. He looked at all my statements and realized, you were right, there was more going on here. Andy filed the paperwork, and we got the slap in the face of arbitration.
Forced arbitration was keeping drivers out of court. It was keeping them from banding together to fight these practices that were hurting everyone. And Prime tried to compel arbitration when Dominic sued. Prime said, hey, we have this arbitration clause. And the statute that they were using to do this is the Federal Arbitration Act. And we said, hey, this statute has an exemption. This exemption is for transportation workers. And you know who are transportation workers? Truck drivers are transportation workers. At that point, I wasn't in the case in the trial court, but Andy and Hillary, our co-counsel, said, hey, there's this exception. And what the company said is, this exemption doesn't count. This exemption says that the contracts of employment of transportation workers are exempt. And we're calling all of our drivers independent contractors, so you're out of luck. The company appealed, and that's when I got involved. And our strategy there and at the Supreme Court was to say, you know, look, it doesn't matter. What we actually are going to do is go look at what the text of the law means. What did it mean in 1925 when this law was passed? It was exciting that it was a unanimous decision. It really was a huge team effort. No single person, and certainly not I, put this together by themselves.
I wanted to write this amicus brief because what looks like a small case about one trucker's right to be heard in court is actually an important window into the gradual erosion of one of our important branches of government. And unfortunately, a lot of corporate America wants out from accountability before courts and juries because they want to have all their disputes adjudicated in the executive and legislative forums where their political power too often drives the result.
Right after our U.S. Supreme Court win, a bunch of mega carriers had suits going on that they lost. We see ours and Public Justice's name constantly in the news about because of their win, these drivers are now being taken care of. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. Drivers don't need to fear the companies.
Public justice is one of the persistent, expert, respected forces that try to push back against this sprawling corporate power, and I think it does hero's work in that role.
I think this was emblematic of a great public justice case because it is a case that will impact possibly millions of people around the country. You know, it's a case where a great injustice was done to Dominic, and a great injustice is being done to the workers he worked with. And this case has the potential not only to fight that injustice, to fight similar ones that are happening around the country.